G'day guys and welcome to this week's episode of I Call Bull. We're starting a new project, which is actually a very old project for me. This is my son's 1973 or 74 XB Falcon GS. It's a 302 Cleveland with a 3-speed automatic. And it's something we started as a father-son project when he was 13. He's now 24. And it's time to just get this one done. So you won't see a lot of the green limousine the next few months. I'm going to really be focusing on this one. We'll be working on the green limousine in the background. This has got a lot of rust in it. It's got some shocking repairs from previous work. Stuff like that's got to be cut out and thrown away. Yeah, but it's not as bad as the green limousine around the windscreens and stuff. It's pretty good around there. So that's good. That gives me hope. I want to sandblast it. So I'm going to get one of those high pressure water blasters with the sandblasting kit, and I reckon I'm going to do that. So I'll strip all the doors and everything off it, get it down to the shell, and I'll blast that, and then from there we will prime it and start on the repairs. A lot of work needs to be done down low, which is why I wanted the hoist. Which is why I'm at the workshop. I have new sills made up for it. I need to make inner sills. You can still get a lot of new parts for these ones. There's new old stock, there's new stock. So you can get the stuff. This won't be as hard as the limousine to get patch panels and stuff for if we decide to go down that route. That back looks pretty bowed into me, so there'll be some work there. Like I started putting this in years ago. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I guess until I start stripping it back, sandblasting it back, I won't really know how far to go with things. But I do think that the majority of the build will go quick, but there's a lot down low that's got to be rebuilt. But rust-wise, this is nowhere near as bad as I remembered it. It's definitely a walk in the park compared to some of the projects we got going on. That's about all I can tell you about that for now. I do have to hook up a fuel system because it doesn't have a tank in it at the moment. I have to run new oil and new oil filter and put a new battery in it. But I reckon it'll start up. It's always started pretty easily once we've chucked a bit of fuel down its guts and put a good battery in it. So we have all the panels. Some of those require a lot of work. Some of those require very little work. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting project. So hang in there, guys. You won't see a lot of the green limousine, like I said, but it'll still be around. Alrighty, we're back on the XB, which has been weeks since I made the intro, but for you guys it was just a few seconds ago. This vehicle is called Stitch, and the reason it's called Stitch is because when we had no money, we bought this car, we had a really crappy MIG welder, and it wouldn't get any heat in, and we were trying to stitch it together, and that's what it was doing, so my son nicknamed it Stitch. It's one of the reasons we stopped. It's because we didn't have a decent welder at the time. But we've got much better equipment now. We're in a much better place to do the work. So, yeah, that's what this thing's called, a Stitch. Now, I went and looked at our local auto parts stores, and they wanted $170 for an electric fuel pump, which used to be like, I don't know, $70 for the better one and $40 for a cheap one back the last time I bought them. So I went online, went to eBay and got this for $18. So I've had to wait for that to turn up. People wonder why you don't shop local. One store wasn't even interested in helping us. They weren't super helpful, nor were they cheap. And the other one, they're the ones that wanted $170 odd for the same thing that I just paid 18 for. So hopefully that works well. This carby, Holly 350, it leaks down the bottom here somewhere, quite a lot. So we can't run it for a long time. Basically just going to run it to move it at the moment. And what I want to do is I want to be able to move it in and out. I think the brakes are locked solid as far as I think that vacuum booster is stuffed. So it's going to be interesting because I don't want to be trying to drive this with no brakes. I'm certainly not putting it on the hoist with no brakes, so I guess I'll just play it by ear. First thing to do though is to get this wired up. I'll come back to you once that's all done. Alright, so that's this thing running. That's what I'm talking about with the fuel coming out. That's the basic setup. It's a bit close to that fan though, I'm going to have to wire that out of the way. Very healthy sounding motor though. So just took it for a lap. It's got absolutely no brakes. The pedal went straight to the floor. But thankfully this gearbox is very doughy, so you can kind of move it in and out of gears and use that to slow yourself down and brake and all the rest of it. So you can go from drive to reverse, and it takes so long to actually engage in reverse that it's not clunking in and doing any damage, I hope. Now, just as far as this $18 eBay flamin' $0 postage fuel pump, it works just as well as any other electric fuel pump I've ever bought. It works just as well as any other electric fuel pump I've ever bought in my life. So that is a bargain. Certainly enjoy not spending 170 when 18 will do. I've probably got to pull the brake master cylinder out. Yeah, but it's a bit of a up in the air as to whether I'm going to pull the motor or not as well, because I do want to sandblast it and I have to get in all around here, so I don't know. Decisions that will be made at a later date. My son and I have decided that we are going to start up the back here. I'm going to start here. This will be my starting point. I'm going to replicate all of this and make two lots basically, and then I reckon, I don't know whether I'll do that in 2 or 3 pieces along the back there. I don't think I have the capability to do it in one, and I'm probably not interested in trying, if I'm really honest. I'd like to do it in 1 section, and then 2 sections, and then 3 sections. So that's what I'm thinking, unless I can find a donor one and I can just unpick it and put it in, which would be the way to go. That'd be lovely, but I don't think that's going to happen because he's a rocking horse poo these days. So we did have a better body, we thought, when we first got this one. We got the brown one that we got the door and the boot off, doors and boot off. And actually, once I started stripping it down, it was worse than this one. So this is the better body, but we had to move and we ended up giving that to the wreckers, which really sucked. But anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to do, and I guess we'll just start and see where this episode takes us. Okay, like I said, we're going to start at the back of this thing and we're going to work our way forward. So this morning, / this afternoon, whatever it is, Oh yeah, it's just gone midday, so there you go. I'm going to start by making up this section here. And I'm not going to lie, for some reason, I'm stressed out about making any of this stuff up. I've been going back over my early videos and I see what I accomplished with very basic tools, so I know I'm capable, but that fear still tries to get you. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to make this section here up, and I think I'll try and make down to here. I don't know how successful I'll be, but I'll try to. And then I'll make I'll make two of those identical, obviously inverted, so that I've got that side as well. And then I'll make this middle section up. So there's a fair bit to get in here. And I don't have any plastic. I've got to order some more, so I'll just be doing it with cardboard. So I've got an old shelving box. So I'll cut you guys on for a time lapse and then we'll go from there.
Take it like it. Do it, make it. Take it like it. Do it, make it.
So that's my basic template there. And you'll see, or you might not be able to see, I don't know, but I've pressed in for the indentation for this lip here, and there's this lip here. The boot lip is going to be a whole separate ordeal. I do have a bit of a lead on a crushed XA sedan, so I want to have a look at what the boot lip is like on that. It might be no good whatsoever. Otherwise, I've been watching a lot of Make It Custom. He's doing his Zephyr 2-door conversion from a 4-door to a 2-door. And he's just made up some pretty wicked dies to go on his planishing hammer to make up a very similar kind of a boot lip for the Zephyr trunks around. So if I can't get a good lip, then I will make up the die for that. But this is enough to get me going for now. I can do both sides based off that. So I guess I will get on with that. Alright, I'm going to try and square that up to make it more workable, that piece of steel, but I can get one side out of that and the other out of that if I square it up. So that's what I'm going to do. Apparently that's square. How this is going to go. Right. Right. So I'm going to put you always want to leave a little bit around wherever you're working, as far as like a little bit of extra steel, so that you've got a little bit to play with, and you don't want an exact cut out, because by the time you scratch and shrink and do all kinds of other things, you know, it's not going to be exactly what you drew on a bit of cardboard or plastic or paper or whatever it is you're using. So as much as I'm copying the template, I will come out a little bit from that. Obviously, on the inside here, we need a lip as well. So when I cut that out, I'm going to have to factor in that there's going to be a lip because it's got to be shaped in. Also, I've got to work my way along this. Can you see? I've got to work my way along this, so I'm going to get it like a punch and just put little marks or a scribe and put holes in, and then I will mark that line by doing that. So what I was saying before is this has got to have a little bit of a lip because that folds in. It's not much, it's only that much. Like 5mm-ish. It's not a lot. It's not a huge lip, but I do have to factor that in as I'm cutting the other one. And I'm going to just like punch a hole in that and scribe a little. I'm going to do that every couple of centimetres, and hopefully that'll translate and I'll be able to follow that and have a very clear line as to where I've got to bend this sucker here. Alright, I'll cut you back in when I've marked them both out and I'm ready to cut. So I've done my first bends on this and I'm going to put it in. Initially, see, I'm way off. Initially, I thought it was a 25-degree angle on it, but it certainly seems like it's more. So I'll go in and I'll do a bit more. I need to mark exactly where this bend starts. So I'll do that before I go back and what am I saying to you? I need to mark exactly where this curve starts on this particular one. So I'll do that now, and then I'll go and bend it some more. Okay, I've got this fitting much better. Hold on, can I see it? Yep, there. So that's close to the angle. That's close enough for now. This is all doing weird stuff here, so I'm not going off this side because it's too weird. And I think that's because we had a mate move it and he shunted it with a tractor, loader. And he's done some weird stuff here, and I think it's not sitting right. I've also remarked the inside because it doesn't sit the same as the other side, and I've also marked the bottom where the step in begins. I've marked that along the bottom there to coincide with that there. Can you see it? To coincide with that there, so that I can get the step down right. So it looks like that. Where are you? So it looks like that. This here. For the light, I've just cut a, so that's the shape of it. Alright, so I've drawn that on there. And then I've just cut a strip out like that. Alright, that's accounting for the thickness of the lip. And then I stole this idea off a guy who stole it off Chip Foose. From overhauling, right? I've just got a bit of bar, and I've just put America, I think you call them a zip cut, just a thin blade, right? And I've just put the cut in there. I've eyeballed it and it's perfect, and then I've just put a shorter one. I put the shorter one for doing the corners, except I haven't seemed to need it. And then what you do is you put it in there. See if I can do this one-handed. And you just give it a... And I've been the whole way around. Now I could go around again, but I'm not going to because I'm in a fully equipped workshop with all bits of pieces. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to neaten it up on the old anvil, but that's pretty freaking cool. Let's see if I can get a side profile. That's like 10 minutes work. This thing's coming along rather nicely. I'm very happy with it. Okay, remembering it's not finished yet, it's just roughed in, but that's like a couple of hours work. I've got the holes lined up with the original. Oh, where are you? In there. You can't really see, but I do. I've got the holes lined up with the originals. Okay. I've got the bends in there. Okay. Now I've got to put all the shape in there, which, you know, it's the same as that, but it's been about 2 hours work. Not even that, I don't reckon. Well, no, probably 2 hours work. This gap has to be much wider if you have a look at that compared to that. I'm going to go to the storage shed and get the actual lights and go off them, but I'm pretty darn happy with that. This obviously has to be trimmed to match the original, but that's the first section made up pretty much. A little bit of tweaking, so I'm happy at that. Strange to think that a couple of hours ago that was that. Two-dimensional, three-dimensional. And that's only, if I've put 3 hours in that, I'd be shocked. So, I'm very, very pleased with how quickly that's come along. Anyway, that's it for this one.